Happy Victory Monday, Chiefs Kingdom, and does it get better than Super Bowl Victory Monday? I don't think it does. Welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. We are live here on YouTube. We were live for 7.5 hours yesterday, and we're back at it. So happy to be here, happy to talk more about Super Bowl 57, and then, hey, got to look ahead to the offseason. Job never stops if you're Brett Veach and Kansas City. So shout out to everybody for hanging out. And if you guys want a shout out, then shout out your city in the comments. And we'll go ahead and get this party started. Seeing Ozzy, Cody, and Kate Chappell hanging out. Tony Fuentes. We got Matt Rader in Knoxville, Tennessee. Scott saying, we did it. Sure did. Sure did. Curran Slayer says he is in Tulsa. We got Tony in Dallas. Ozzy in Tampa. What's up, Tristan? Rich King in South Africa. Lennon saying hello. What's up, Lennon? We got Kate Chappell in Kansas City. Daytime in Reading. We got Cole Keller in Wichita. Let's see. Kansas City and Ovet. Let's go, Super Bowl champions. Yes, sir, Dorian. We got Scott in Stamford, Connecticut. We've got the Chief in Kansas City, Kansas. Tristan in Minnesota. Springfield, 3 hours south. It was lit last night. I bet it was, Cody. I bet it was. Lennon in Edmond, Oklahoma. We got Ethan in Manhattan, Kansas. Kid in Tom's River. Carl Sheffers needs to be fired today. Who's with me? Hey, man. Hey, man. They got the call right. They got the call right. Kid Kills is Tom's River. We got Chris in Goddard, Kansas. I'm going to Kansas City tomorrow. That sounds fun. That sounds fun. Is the parade? When is the parade? Is it tomorrow? Let's see.
I'm not sure. I'd imagine it'd be later in the week, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you would think it'd be a little bit later.
I think they're going to give them time to get over the hangover and all.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it's going to be. I'll try and look into that. You still in Arizona? No, we're back in the studios. We got back for our watch party last night and actually set a Chat Sports NFL watch party record with 400,000 viewers. So shout out to the Kingdom for showing out. Judd, North Dakota. Wednesday is the parade, I'm being told. Yep. Wednesday. Cole says, I got drunk even before kickoff. Thankfully, no hangover. Hey, when you've mastered the no hangover, that's the move. Jeremiah in Palmer Lake, Colorado. We got Michael in Springfield, Illinois. Eric Bieniemy deserves a head coaching position now. Can't really argue with you there. Cannot really argue with you there on that one. All right, who is still hyped after last night's Super Bowl? I don't see any Eagles fans in the chat because the live poll is a 100% in favor of Chiefs Kingdom. Who is still hyped? Type me if you are. Go vote on the live poll as well. 49 votes all saying, yes, you're still hyped. How could you not be? Austin says me. Cole Keller says me. Kate Chappell. We got Austin, Tony, Jeremiah, Dorian, Ozzy saying me, Tony, Tristan, Aiden. We've got Ovet, Rich King, Jaden, Terry, Tristan. We've got Cody G, Michael Summerfield, Nick Yates, Maximo saying me, Lennon. People think I'm bandwagon with me wearing my jersey at school. Hey, man, got a rep. Got a rep. Tim Bowen saying me. Let's see, Curran says me. I've been to 3 games this year. What games did you go to, Curran? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Show Patrick Mahomes some love. He just completed an epic postseason run, dealing with an ankle sprain and all. He was fantastic. Second Super Bowl MVP trophy of his career. Second Super Bowl ring of his career as well. Type 15 in the chat. Austin says 15. So does Michael, Ozzy, Nick, Kay Chappell, Jaden, Tony, Rich King. First regular season MVP to win a Super Bowl in the same season as he continues to add to his legacy. Cole says 15. HFA, Recon, Tony, Gabby, Jeremiah, Dave, Nick, all saying 15. Ovet says 15. Tony, want to be like Mike, saying 15. Lennon in there as well. Dorian, we got Curran. Get the 15s going. Where can you get the Chiefs Super Bowl shirt at? Hey, producer Jack. Saying go, let's go. Kingdom's representing. Kingdom's representing. Can we flash that Super Bowl gear? People are asking for it, Sammy. We got some Chiefs Super Bowl gear for you guys. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. If you want to get your Super Bowl t-shirts, we got hats, we got hoodies, all kinds of stuff. We'll get it in the live chat as well, chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Get your gear today and go ahead and party with the kingdom. Go pick it up. There's other items as well, but these are just a few of them we're cycling through. chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. All right, Andy Reid pretty much dismissed any retirement rumors last night. The question is, how many more years will Big Red coach? How many more years for Andy Reid? What do you guys think? Think he's got 1, 2, 5 more years left in him? He'll be 65 next year, so he's getting up there. I mean, I think he could coach into his 70s if he wanted to. I don't know if he will. K. Chappell says 3, Robert says 4, Tony says 5. Recon says 5 to 7. Tony says 4. Tylene says 4 to 5. Cole says 4 at least. Yeah, I mean, listen, you got a 27-year-old superstar quarterback, and you're going to have many of chances to get back to the mountaintop. I mean, that's hard to walk away from if you're Andy Reid. Dorian says 5 to 6. Chad Phil says 2 to 3. Want to be like Mike says 2. 7, they still making cheeseburgers? Hell yeah. Paul says 3, Maximo 6, Ozzy 5, Tristan 4. Yeah, I mean, Jaden says 3 to 5. That sounds right, 3 to 5. I mean, hell, he can coach as long as he wants to as far as I'm concerned. 4 to 6 from Daytime. Dave says 6. I wish he never left. Hey, if he wants to coach until he's in his mid-70s, that's fine with me as long as he wants to. He leaves when Pat retires. That'd be a long time because Mahomes, at minimum, is going to play another 10 years, potentially 15. I mean, Tom Brady just played until he was 45, and Patrick Mahomes is 27. So quarterbacks are able to play longer. Aaron Rodgers is 40 now. Guys are able to play into their 40s and play well. So if he takes care of his body, I think he's going to be able to play for a long time, and I think Andy Reid's going to be able to coach for a long time if he chooses to do so. Now, what is Kansas City going to do with Orlando Brown this offseason? And can we just give a round of applause to the offensive line, and especially Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley at tackle? They were under a lot of fire. They can't block Hassan Reddick. No sacks, put it on a effing T-shirt, like Orlando Brown said. He was terrific. I've been critical of him at times, but I said this was a put-up or shut-up game for him, and he put up. I mean, he was terrific. As for sign, T for tag, sign meaning sign him to a long-term deal. T, sign him on the franchise tag again. What do you guys think? Tony says sign. Tim says sign. Austin says tag him. Liz says tag him. Tony says sign him. Liz says tag. Tony says sign. Cole says sign. We got Curran saying sign. Ozzy tag. Lennon sign. Tony Smith says tag. Maximo says tag. Kate Chappell Curran saying tag. Curran and Daytime say sign. Let's make this the franchise or the live poll question, Sammy. What to do with Orlando Brown? I think it's a little bit more split. Paul Amos says tag. Tony says going to get me a Whataburger. I think Andy Reid probably is having a nice little burger today. That's the deal. Greg Goodwin says tag him. Chris says tag him and find a left tackle in the draft. Yeah, maybe. He certainly played like a high-level tackle last night. There is no doubt about that. So go vote on the live poll and let me know. We'll probably revisit this later on in the show. If you love the Chiefs, like this video. Hit that like button. Got about 80 people watching live, so like the video if you love the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll get this party started in just a little bit. So hit that thumbs up icon as we dive into today's show. Here's what's coming up on the Chiefs Report, the latest news and rumors following Super Bowl 57. Live Q&A, we'll take your questions, hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat on our mailbag today. And then we're going to take a look at the perfect Chiefs 2023 NFL offseason, a 5-step plan to hopefully be in Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, and how glorious would that be to win a Super Bowl in the Raiders' backyard? I'm already just getting fired up thinking about it. So all this and more is coming up on today's Chiefs Report. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham, and Victory Monday has never tasted sweeter for Kansas City as they won their second Super Bowl in 4 years last night with an epic 38-35 win over the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. But you know what they say, the job never stops for GM Brett Veach, and offseason coverage starts today here on the Chiefs Report. And hey, We're almost at 40,000 subscribers. We picked up about 2,000 during our Super Bowl watch party. Round of applause to all of you. If you have not joined the movement, if you have not joined the Chiefs Report family, this is the time to do so. We're 555 subs away. Can we get to 40,000 very, very quickly by the end of February? I think we can. Hit that sub button, and we will continue to bring you guys videos every single day this offseason. Let's talk about the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. We'll first talk about kind of offseason timeline with his injury, and then we'll talk about his legacy a little bit as well. Patrick Mahomes said his ankle injury shouldn't affect his offseason training. Here's what he had to say. He said, "I'll for sure be ready for OTAs and everything like that. Obviously, we'll continue to rehab, continue the treatment that we were doing, and just give it some rest. I think the best thing for it is going to be rest. Just try to make sure when we get to OTAs, I'm ready to go. One thing that I might take a hit is my golf game, so I'll take a few weeks off of that." Look, as far as I'm concerned, if he wants to rest until training camp, I am perfectly fine with that. But that's kind of the beauty of Patrick Mahomes. He's such a just low-key superstar. Like, I don't think he really understands how much of a star he actually is. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there for training or OTAs ready to go." It's like, dude, you could skip OTAs. It's not that big of a deal. But that's just how he's wired. I mean, he's chasing greatness at the highest level. And, I mean, let's talk about this run he just went on. And remember, he suffered a high ankle sprain in the second quarter of his first playoff game against the Jags in the divisional round. What did he do? 72% completion in the playoffs, 703 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of almost 115, and a couple of notable scrambles despite dealing with an injured ankle. You think of the run late in the Cincinnati game, got the late hit as well to set up Harrison Butker. You think of the 25-yard scramble in the Super Bowl late to set up the game-winning kick for Butker again. He made plays when he had to. He was absolutely fantastic, and the efficiency was just off the charts. A great playoff run for Patrick Mahomes. And now you look at his resume, and this is a guy who is 27 years old and has only started 5 years in this league. Well, in those 5 years, he's won the Super Bowl twice. He's been 3 times. He's won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He's won 2 NFL MVPs. He's been to a conference championship game in every single year that he has started. And like I said, he's made the Super Bowl 3 times in 5 years, and he's won it twice. This is unprecedented. I mean, look, Tom Brady had 3 Super Bowls by the age of 27, I believe, but he did not have the individual accolades. He did not have 2 NFL MVPs. He did not have the individual statistics that Mahomes has. He is off to the greatest start to a career that we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. He's already a Hall of Famer, guys. Five years as a starter. If he retired today, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Believe me, he will. 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That is a Hall of Fame resume. Believe me on that. So now it's about chasing GOAT status. I mean, can he get into the stratosphere of Tom Brady? He's on pace to do so. Now, there's a long way to go. I understand that. But individual statistics, I think he will get there. It's about whether he'll win enough. Can he win 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls? He's at 2. I think he probably is going to have to get to at least 5 to be in the conversation as GOAT. I don't necessarily think he has to get to 7 like Brady, because I do think he'll pass him in individual accolades. But if he could pass him in individual statistics and accolades and get 5+ Super Bowls, he could be the GOAT. I mean, it's actually possible. I said if he gets this one, you start to think about that. You start to think about that possibility. Long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But he's well on his way to being one of the greatest of all time, if not maybe, just maybe, the greatest of all time when it's all said and done. Now, does Mahomes have a chance to be the GOAT when it's all said and done? A chance? You got to say there's a chance, right? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Remember, people had the audacity at one point in the last year to say Joe Burrow and Josh Allen were better than this guy. They're great players. They're not Mahomes. What he's done through 5 years, it is unprecedented. Y for yes, N for no. Does Patrick Mahomes have a chance to be the GOAT? Andy Reid, is Big Red sticking around? Yep, he dismissed any retirement rumors after last night's game. Now, who knows? Maybe he'll change his mind, but he didn't sound like someone who was going to. He said, yeah, I think I'll stick around as long as they'll have me. I think they'll have you, Coach. I think Brett Veach and Patrick Mahomes and Clark Hunt would love for you to hang around for several more years. I never really bought into this retirement buzz. I know Jay Glazer said yesterday that Andy Reid said, yeah, it's something I'd have to think about. Look, I think he went through that game and was like, why the hell would I walk away from this? I mean, I got a superstar quarterback who's only 27 years old. We got a team that's in win-now mode. I mean, shoot, Like, if I still love doing this, why would I walk away? Like, and Andy Reid's a football lifer, man. I mean, he's been doing this for 30-plus years, so why would you walk away at this point in time? And just like we're talking about Mahomes' legacy, look at Andy Reid's resume. He now has 2 Super Bowl wins. He's been four times with 2 different teams, by the way. 13 divisional titles, several conference championship games. I think 9, because 5 with the Chiefs and 4 with the Eagles now. That's really impressive. 22-16 playoff record, 22 playoff wins up there for the most all time, obviously behind Belichick and a few others. 247 regular season wins. I mean, we could talk about Mahomes' legacy, but Andy Reid, he really upped his legacy last night too. I think only 14 coaches have multiple Super Bowl wins, so he's entered that, 4 appearances. The longevity of his career is really, really impressive. And again, with Patrick Mahomes, only 27 years old, how could you walk away? I mean, I say Andy Reid can't walk away. He can do whatever the hell he wants. That's number one. But deep down, you got to be thinking, I can't walk away from this. I can't walk away from Patrick Mahomes, who's 27 years old. I could be back here next year and the year after that and the year after that. So, hey, Andy Reid's going to be 65. He feels like a young 65 to me. The energy is there. He's got the players to do it. He's got support from the front office. Let's keep it rolling, baby. Big Red hanging around in Kansas City, hopefully for several years to come. What do you guys think? How many more years will Andy Reid coach? I think it'll at least be multiple. Like, if I'm Andy Reid, I'm coaching at least till Mahomes is 30. Like, I'm trying to get at least another Super Bowl or 2. Let me know what you guys think. How many more years do you believe Andy Reid will coach? And make no mistake, he ain't coaching for another franchise. He's a Chief for life. Now, speaking of the Super Bowl and being a champion, if you want some Kansas City Chiefs championship gear, we got you covered. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. You can pick up T-shirts, hats, hoodies, other gear as well. It's all on that link at that website. Check the comments, check the description. What's that, Sam? Men's and women's gear, by the way. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. God, this hoodie's looking great. I love the hats as well. Mahomes and Kelsey were rocking them post-game. Go check it out. Fanatics has you covered. That link is in the live chat, description, and comments of this video. All right, from Andy Reid to his offensive coordinator, that is Eric Bieniemy. Is he set to leave? Well, he is set to interview with Washington for their offensive coordinator vacancy. Ravens and Cardinals could be interested as well. I think he's going to interview with Baltimore as well. That's at least what was reported before the Super Bowl. We know for sure he's going to sit down with Ron Rivera in Washington. Here's what Andy Reid had to say when it comes to his offensive coordinator. He said, listen, Eric Bieniemy has been tremendous for us. I think he has been tremendous for the NFL. I am hoping he's having an opportunity to go somewhere and do his thing where he can run the show and be Eric Bieniemy. Let me say this, and look, I will freely admit at the end of last season, I was critical of Eric Bieniemy, and I thought it was probably best to let him go. To the Chiefs' credit, they brought him back and they won a Super Bowl. So obviously, they were right in sticking by him. Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles' defensive coordinator, likely getting the Cardinals job, it looks like, potentially getting it at least, over Eric Bieniemy, who has interviewed for half the league, which clearly something's off there. I'm not sure what, and, that's a different conversation for a different day. But the offense, Andy Reid and Bieniemy ran circles around Gannon, and Gannon's going to get a head coaching job, and Eric Bieniemy's got years and years and years of being this OC and helping run this offense with that track record of how good it's been, and he's going to have to go call plays elsewhere before getting a chance. It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's bogus, to be honest with you. I mean, look at the offense this year. They trade Tyreek Hill. I mean, people like Bart Scott didn't even think the Chiefs would make the playoffs this year. What did this offense do? It was more efficient than ever. It led the NFL in points per game, yards per game, pass yards per game, second and third down conversions, second and red zone touchdown conversions. I mean, the creativity of this offense, which Eric Bieniemy has fingerprints all over, is on display every single week, and he's going to have to go call plays for Washington, for Baltimore, Arizona. Come on. I just don't get it. He deserves a chance to be a head coach. I don't know if he's a shitty interviewer. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, or interviewee, I should say. But it appears he's going to have to go call plays elsewhere, and I do think he will leave. I do think he'll be someone else's play caller. So what do you guys think? What will Eric Bieniemy do? Type L for leave or type S for stay? I think he probably walks. And, hey, great run, man. The guy helped the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls. Let's get to some trade rumors. DeAndre Hopkins, could he be a trade target for Kansas City? He's likely going to get traded from Arizona. Maybe, depending on who they hire, that could change. But with Kyler Murray set to probably miss at least half of next year, kind of feels like a transition year for the Cardinals. They're going to hire a new coach. They got a new GM. DeAndre Hopkins on the wrong side of 30. Kyler's injury. Feels like a separation makes sense there based on reports as well. And how about Nuke this morning tweeting at Patrick Mahomes? He says, at Patrick Mahomes is different, eye emoji. I don't know, man. Nuke's got a no-trade clause, so if Kansas City's interested, you would think he would waive that for Kansas City. And he's still very good, man. Now, the last couple of years, he's missed time for various reasons. This year, he had that PED suspension, but when he was out there, he was still very good. 2021 missed some time with injuries, but he was still effective. His last 2 full seasons, I mean, he was top 5 receiver in the league, no doubt about it. The thing about Hopkins, too, is his cap hit, if traded, isn't bad. $19.5 million for a true number 1 receiver, that's not bad at all. And that was not super cheap. Obviously, the Chiefs have a lot of big contracts and got some decisions to make with Orlando Brown and some other pieces. But here's my take. The Chiefs could trade for Hopkins and maybe let JuJu and Hardman walk in free agency. And that's no slight to JuJu, but A, Hopkins is a better player, and B, JuJu, if I'm him, I'm looking to cash in. And look, if he cashes in elsewhere, good for him. He should. I mean, he played a key role for this team, was huge in the second half of the Super Bowl. The team might throw $18, $20 million at him. And if I'm the Chiefs and I can trade for Hopkins, who it makes in that range, who's a better player, I'd probably just rather do that than re-sign JuJu to a multi-year deal. Not that I'm opposed to bringing back Smith-Schuster. So we'll see what happens with DeAndre Hopkins. I got a little trade idea. 2nd and 4th for Nuke, 63 overall, 63rd overall pick, throw on a 4th as well. I think a 2nd would get it done for most teams, but Chiefs would maybe have to throw in an extra pick as A, they're picking late in the 2nd round, and B, Arizona would realize, we're really helping out a really good team get even better. So 2nd and a 4th for Hopkins, I'd do that. Brett Veach has 11 draft picks this year. Would you do this trade? Type T for trade or P for pass. I mean, imagine adding Hopkins to this offense. I mean, Hopkins, Kelsey, the way you can run the ball, Pacheco now, probably bring back Jarrett McKinnon. Kadarius Toney emerging. Sky Moore had his first touchdown in the Super Bowl. You think he's in line for a bigger role next year? Valdez-Scantling making plays here and there. Man, it could be a lot of fun. T for trade, P for pass if you would do this trade for DeAndre Hopkins. And a receiver that you traded away last year, Tyreek Hill, he was tweeting throughout the Super Bowl last night. I felt like he was cheering for the Chiefs based on what he was tweeting out. He was being complimentary of both teams, but he's been pretty consistent that he clearly likes his boys in Kansas City. Tweeted this out after the game. He said, boy, 15 and 87, Mahomes and Kelsey. Has to be the greatest duo of all time. Love watching. I got to be honest, Tyreek wants to be a Chief so bad. Like, I know he wanted to get his money. I don't blame him either. $30 million a year, good for him. I'd probably do the same thing, but you know he's wishing deep down that Kansas City would have paid that number. Like, he would have loved to remain in Kansas City, and why wouldn't he? The culture's great there. You can chase Super Bowls year in and year out. You get to play with Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce is playing next to you. I mean, you get to play for Andy Reid. Look, Tyreek's in a good spot. He had a huge year for Miami. Like, I don't think he's necessarily regretting things, but you can tell that deep down, like, had the Chiefs paid what he wanted them to, he would have preferred to stay. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So who knows what the future holds for him in Miami. Could he play for the Chiefs to end his career later on? Maybe. I do think that could be a possibility, but that is a ways down the road. All right, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I know we have a lot of new subscribers as well, so turn on those notifications because we go live every single Monday, 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. We publish videos every single day on the channel as well, so don't ever miss when we put out a video. The way to do that is to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Be loud, Chiefs Kingdom. A little bit. It's not bad, though. Oh, I don't mind it, but I don't know if it's... Oh. Yeah. Be loud, Chiefs Kingdom. Spam KC. I don't know if I hear it in my mic or just out loud, now that I think about it. It's not bad. I don't even hear it now. Ozzy says KC. Dorian says KC. Rich King, Corey, Terrence, DJ, Dave, all saying KC. Robert says he's a Falcons fan. That's the guy that was in here last night. He said he ate 50 wings. Robert, welcome back. Daytime said, I tried to send the video. It wouldn't work. How long was it? Daytime. If it was over 2 minutes and 20 seconds, you can't tweet it. But if it was under, you could send it to me. So that could be why. Tim says KC. James says KC. Maximo says KC. Don in there as well. Got to be loud. Got to represent after winning a Super Bowl. All right, it is mailbag time. So if you have a question, 2 ways to get on the show. 1, hashtag Chiefs to get your questions in. Or if you want to skip the line, use the Disney World Fast Pass. Shout out Mahomes. He's hanging out at Disney World. Send in a super chat. We'll get your questions on the show. Shout out to the Kingdom last night for sending in over $1,000 combined with Super Chats and Venmo. You guys are real ones. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. That way you can get your questions on the show, and we will answer as many as we can here on the Chiefs Report. So if you have any offseason questions, if you have any trade questions, draft, more Super Bowl thoughts, whatever it is, hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we will answer as many questions as we can here on the show. It is mailbag time here on the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. So if you have a question for me, use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions on the show, and we will answer as many of them as we possibly can. From Terry Singleton, MSO. I don't know what that means. Do you think the holding call was a bad call? I don't think it was a bad call. Now, is it an unfun way to finish the Super Bowl? Absolutely. It's not fun to watch Jarrett McKinnon take a knee at the 2, then Patrick Mahomes take a couple knees, then, to set up a chip shot field goal to essentially end the game. Like, if you're an average football fan, that's obviously not a fun way to win it, but at the same time, if the referee sees the defender grab JuJu Smith-Schuster, which if you watch the replays on the backside angle, which I don't know why, but Fox didn't show those, it's so clear that he grabbed. James Bradbury mentioned it. What's the official supposed to do? Look, I love bitching at the refs. It's fun. But at the same time, I think sometimes we just have to say, look, this is a hard job, and he grabbed him, he saw it, and he threw the flag. I don't know what we want him to do. Is it a brutal way for a Super Bowl to end? Yeah, I'd say so. Was it the right call? I think it was. MDB 3000, Andrew Wiley made himself a lot of money last night. Thanks for the super chat, MDB. I don't know about a lot, but I do think he made himself some money, and he could be a cap casualty for the Chiefs. They may have to let him go. Maybe Darian Kennard or Lucas Niang wins that job next year. I was high on Niang a couple years ago, but he got injured again. But I think he could hold down that spot if he's fully healthy. But shout out to Andrew Wiley, man. That matchup last night with him against those pass rushers, I was concerned, and nothing stood out. He didn't get beat. He held up. If anything, he was the better player than a guy like Hassan Reddick. So good for him. I thought he was terrific. From Tangy Chicken, should Kansas City re-sign JuJu Smith-Schuster this offseason? I think he's a guy that I would be open to bringing back. I do think the market will dictate a lot. If a team's going to throw $20 million at JuJu Smith-Schuster, Brett Veach is probably going to be like, hey, man, thanks for helping us this year. Best of luck. I don't think they're going to pay him $20 million a year. But if it's 15 or less, I do think they'd be open to that. It comes down to what JuJu wants. Does he want to cash in and make top dollar? Wouldn't blame him if he did. Does he want to come back at a 75% discount and, chase another ring? I could see why that would be appealing as well, as long as he's still making decent money. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be curious to see how the Chiefs evaluate this draft class at receiver and, how they view their own guys. Do they view Kadarius Toney as a potential number one? I think it's a little rich to say that at this time, but I'm excited about his future. So, again, Brett Veach has got some decisions to make, and JuJu is certainly a big one. Now, do you think the Chiefs should re-sign JuJu Smith-Schuster? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Should Kansas City re-sign JuJu? From Cole Keller, with all the possibilities, do you think the Chiefs re-sign EB for the OC job? Look, if he doesn't land one of these other OC gigs, then yeah, I would bring him back, but I think he'll land elsewhere. I think at this point he feels like if he's ever going to be a head coach, he's going to have to prove it elsewhere. Is that fair? Probably not. But at the same time, I just think that's the reality at this point. So I bet he goes to Washington or Baltimore, and then we'll see what his future holds from there. From Tylene, what's a free agent that could possibly go to Kansas City? Trying to think of some external guys. I mean, could they go sign a Marcus Davenport? I think an edge rusher could be a possibility. We don't know what Frank Clark's future is, but Davenport was really good last year, not so much this year. You might be able to get him on a bit of a discount, so he's someone who stands out. What if a guy like Michael Thomas gets cut, right, and you can get him for on the cheaper, former, one of the best receivers in the league, with the last 3 years he's had tons of injuries. OBJ, kind of in the similar mold. Could you get him for cheap? So there's some guys out there, and Brett Veach will certainly take a look at some of those guys. From Ray, do you think Mahomes is a all-time top 5 QB now, since he has 2 MVP, 2 Super Bowl, and 2 Super Bowl MVPs? I think last night cemented him as probably top 10 all time, which is crazy to say. But you could make the argument. You could throw him in that conversation. I mean, through 5 years as a starter, we've never seen someone be better. That's just a fact. That's the cold, hard truth. Top 5 is rich. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. Top 10, though, I'm comfortable saying he's a top 10 quarterback of all time. From Juice Tan, do you think Hardman is gone? Yeah, I think so. Sky Moore played a little bit better and better down the stretch, had a touchdown in the Super Bowl, so I do think that he'll have a bigger role. You traded for Kadarius Toney, who's obviously going to have a big role on this team. There's no doubt about it. So I think that Hardman is gone. I think JuJu could return, so we'll see. I'd like to bring Justin Watson back as a wide receiver 5. He played a nice role for this team, but I would be pretty surprised if Mecole Hardman returned next season. Today's show is sponsored by Fume. Fume is going to get you back into the right habits. You can get 10% off the Journey Pack at tryfume.com/chatsports. Be smart, don't start, kick the habit, and put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, yet we still continue to do those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. Now, I do want to make this clear. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile with an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap. Your fingers will always have something to always do. I personally really like how, first of all, the look of this design of this device. Very easy to use, and it comes in this sweet little box as well. Just pop it in there. You can travel with it. No big deal. A couple of good flavors that I'm a big fan of as well. Turn those negative habits into positive ones with Fume by going to tryfume.com/chatsports. That's going to get you 10% off at checkout. Check the description. Check the comments for that link below. Tryfume.com/chatsports. That is tryfum.com/chatsports. Another super chat from our pal Eric. What's up, Eric? Is it true that Kadarius Toney is the love child of Dante Hall and Gallum? Either way, he's earned his ring, my precious. That's funny. I will say this, Eric, and I had a conversation. We talked about this last night on the show. If Kadarius Toney does nothing for the rest of his career, that was already a successful trade for Brett Veach. He sent a 3rd-round pick and a 6th to the Giants, and Kadarius Toney just had a huge impact on a Super Bowl victory. He had a touchdown in the red zone, and he had the longest punt return in Super Bowl history to set the Chiefs up at 1st and goal at, the 5 or 6? And by the way, I think he's going to do a lot more for this team. But the point being is that was a great trade, regardless of what happens from here on out. You got a Super Bowl out of it. He helped you get one. Hey, shout out Kadarius Toney. He could be a lecture, man. He was fun to watch last night. Another super chat from NDB. Shout out to you. Marcus Kemp made 4 key blocks in that punt return. He is a future special team coach for sure. Listen, Marcus Kemp is a bit of an unsung hero. I mean, left the Chiefs, came back, practice squad, elevated in the playoffs, and he's just a special teams ace, man. He really is. I mean, I'd like to see him be on the 53 next year as your number 6 receiver and special teams guy. With JuJu and Hardman being free agents, I think that's a possibility. If he could give you just a little bit offensively, I think he'd have a better chance of being on the roster. Maybe he can continue to develop as a wide receiver. Tony Fuentes, I think Orlando Brown stays. Oh, I think he'll be back. The question is going to be, is it going to be a long-term contract or is it going to be under the franchise tag? That's what it's going to come down to. I do think he'll get tagged initially for sure because the Chiefs aren't going to let him hit the open market, but the question is, will they be able to come to terms, something they were not able to do last year? DJ Wolfenstein, what position is the biggest need to address in the draft? Potentially right tackle. Andrew Wiley's a free agent. I don't know how they view Lucas Niang at this point. Darian Kennard was inactive for basically every game this year. It might have been every game, so I don't think he's a candidate to take that job, at least entering the offseason. So right tackle's a spot. I think edge rusher, is Frank Clark back? This time last year I was ready to let him go, but if you can get him back on a restructured contract, I would certainly be open to that if he's willing to do that again. So I think edge and right tackle are probably the top two needs right now. One more, backup quarterback. I mean, I like Shane Buechele, but I think you at least have to bring in competition for him. So whether it's a vet in free agency or it's a late draft pick, I think you need to figure out QB2, whether that's Buechele or someone else with Chad Henne retiring. HFA Recon, could we possibly steal Jesse Bates from Cincinnati considering Juan Thornhill is a free agent? In theory, yes. Bates set to be a free agent again. We'll see if they tag him again. I bet they don't. I think he'll probably walk. But I like Jesse Bates. Is this team in position to throw big money at a second safety, though? Like, Justin Reed already makes over $10 million a year, or close to $10 million a year. I doubt they'll do that. If you could get Thornhill back at like $6 million a year, I would do that. I like Juan Thornhill. I think he played well this year. You've got Brian Cook in the wings as well. He was used in 3 safety sets quite a bit. So safety's a sneaky position to watch out for as well. Subscribe to the Chiefs Report and join our weekly mailbags. Link is below. Every single Monday we go live. This is your chance to get your question answered on the show. So subscribe and join us on Mondays, 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. Jackson Boswell, trade up for Quentin Johnston. I mean, I love QJ. I'm a TCU alum. I've watched every game of his career. I think there's some route running stuff he needs to fine-tune, but he's better than Jalen Reagor, Josh Dotson. He's not going to be a bust like they were, I don't think. 6'4", 215, yards after the catch. I'd love to see that type of receiver with Patrick Mahomes as well. If he's there at 31, that's awesome. You probably have to trade up for him, though, into the 20s. So, I'd be open to it. If they like him enough, I think he'd be a fun player for this Chiefs offense. Mahomes is my daddy. With Chad Henne retiring, is Shane Buechele a lock to be QB2 next year, or will Kansas City bring in competition? I definitely don't think he's a lock, because if he was far enough along with his progression, then I think he would have had a better chance to push Chad Henne the last couple of years. But to Henne's credit, I mean, when he's had to play, he's played well. Now with him retiring, I think Buechele has the first crack at being the backup, but I do think the Chiefs will bring in another quarterback via the draft or free agency to bring in competition. I don't think you can just roll with Shane Buechele as your QB2. I do think you need to bring someone in. I like some day 3 QB draft options. Max Duggan, I think Stetson Bennett. Those are a couple of guys on day 3 of the draft I would take a look at. Hell, if Hendon Hooker falls far enough in the draft, I'd be intrigued by him. But obviously, you got to figure out backup quarterback now. Now, who do you guys think will be Patrick Mahomes' backup QB next year? Is it going to be Shane Buechele? Again, I do think he'll get the first crack at it, but I don't think you can just give it to him. I think you need a competition there. So let me know, who do you guys think will be the backup quarterback in 2023? Some free agent options, by the way. Marcus Mariota is going to get cut. He could be an intriguing name. Jameis Winston's going to get cut. He could be an intriguing name. Andy Dalton's a free agent. So there's some vets out there that if you want to throw $2, $3, $4, $5 million to be a backup, you could certainly do so. Tony Fuentes, did you enjoy the halftime show? I liked it, yeah. I thought Rihanna did a good job. She had a baby last May, and I think we were able to confirm she's pregnant again. So great job by her. I liked it better last year, but hey, I'm just 50 Eminem. I mean, that was like me growing up with rap, so that's hard to top. But I thought Rihanna was good. I thought it was a good performance. Definitely one of the better ones. MDB with the super. Deion Bush walked in on the day we lost Tyreek Hill. He walks out a Super Bowl champ. He was good for the young guys in the secondary. Absolutely. And he's a great special teams player. Played that role in Chicago for several years. veteran player. So, we'll see what the future holds for him. But I thought that was a sneaky good pickup by Veach last year. Greg Goodwin, who is the best players to sign or trade for? I mean, trade guys, DeAndre Hopkins, he could be out there. Could you imagine if the Chargers cut Keenan Allen and the Chiefs signed him? I mean, how epic would that be? With the beef between Allen and the Chiefs over the years, he just comes over and balls out in Kansas City. That'd be pretty funny. I think guys to sign internally to look at, sneaky one, Jarrett McKinnon. I want to bring him back, pair him with Pacheco out of the backfield. So we'll take a look at some free agents. We'll do some free agent targets, some trade targets. Busy offseason ahead. Just another reason to subscribe. Nick gets the second to last word. We'll do two more here. Should we get a proven player or try to draft for our needs? It just depends. The beauty of having a win-now team like Kansas City does is you can be a little picky in the draft, right? You could draft best player available. You can draft for a need. You can trade down for more picks. Trade up if you fall in love with the player that you want. So we'll see what takes place over the next month or so leading up to free agency, and then we'll kind of have a clearer picture. Apex Affairs. Ooh, and then a super chat from him as well. It's the same question. Is it the same question? Pretty much. We'll go ahead and flash the super chat for Apex. He says, I think we should go after D-Hop and Myles Garrett. Yeah, but I don't think you're getting Myles Garrett. I'd love to take Myles Garrett next to Chris Jones? Would there be a better 1-2 punch on a defensive line? I don't think so. I think Hopkins is more realistic. I actually think that's a possibility. Myles Garrett would probably cost you multiple firsts and probably another pick or two as well. Who do you guys think will be Patrick Mahomes' backup quarterback in 2023? Ooh, someone says Tyrod Taylor. I don't mind that idea. I think he's a good backup. Who was with Tyrod this year? Oh, no, he signed Giants, right?
He was Daniel Jones.
He signed a 2-year deal, I think. But he could be a cut candidate.
It might.
Let me take a look. Because I actually like that name.
Get some shout-outs. I'll beat you to it.
Get some shout-outs. Someone says Stetson Bennett. Max Duggan or Adrian Martinez. I do not want Adrian Martinez.
Yeah, he's under contract for next season, but his cap hit is pretty big to where I feel like they might wind up just moving on.
They only save like $1 million and 1.7 to
$6.9 million cap hit. Nice.
Dead cap 5.3, so they probably won't cut him. Maybe restructure. You never know though. Taylor Heineke, I'd take him as backup. Heineke's great. Did you hear his quote the other day, by the way?
He's like, I think being a backup job in the NFL is about as good as it gets in life.
He said, I think he was on McAfee's show, and he said, yeah, I want to be a starter next year, but being a backup quarterback in the NFL is one of the best jobs in America. So that's pretty good stuff. Matt Moore, he's done. He is done.
What about Castle?
Matt Castle is also done. Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs will throw because the Tyrod Taylor Heineke of the world. I mean, that's going to cost you $5 to $7 million. So I don't think they're Marcus Mariota. I think they'd rather go with Bouchel than draft a day 3 quarterback. That way your backup's cheaper. Because look, in reality, if you lose Mahomes to a serious injury, it doesn't really matter. You just want someone that if he's out a month, that you can win 1 or 2 games while he's out. I mean, that's the goal.
If you're a backup
Derek
quarterback,
Carr, yes.
Yeah, that's not bad. That'd be the best backup in football for sure.
Yeah, he'll start somewhere.
I think if you're a backup quarterback / one of those fringe bridge quarterbacks and you know that next year you're not going to start, it's almost like that theory of people want to play with Patrick Mahomes applies to the backup because if he's hurt, you've already got at least a great system in place, playmakers around.
We saw Chad Henne play well when he said to play.
Would you be willing to go a little cheaper to be the backup in Kansas City as opposed to being the backup in fucking Jacksonville or something?
Ooh, Drew Lock. I don't hate that. He knows the AFC West. He's got a strong arm like Mahomes. I don't hate it. As a backup?
You want him rapping Yeezy on the sidelines?
Yeah, that's tough. Case Keenum, I like that one. Nick Foles is cooked. You don't want Nick Foles. All right. Now, Nick Foles could be like that, compete with Shane Bouchel guy. I guess that's fine, but yeah, I'm not that interested in Nick Foles. All right.
What about Joe Flacco along the same lines?
He's about 50. He's done. I'd rather bring Fitzpatrick out of retirement. I wonder where Jameis is going to go. He's not going to start, I don't think.
I don't think so. I think he's entering.
I could see him
entering Jacoby Brissett territory.
Yeah, hey, I take Brissett. He's a great backup, but he's kind of that $8 million backup. Like he makes like really good backup money. So I don't think the Chiefs are going to spend that much at that.
To answer Alex Place's question in the chat, Harrison does believe it was a holding penalty.
Yes, sorry, Alex. It was a holding penalty. The Bradbury guys. For you conspiracy theorists out there, when the player himself says that he held, it's a flag. It sucks the way it ended, but it was a foul. It was a foul. All right, one more segment to go here.
Wait, one more comment. Shout out to Deciphered. Get Baker.
Baker?
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
If it's cheap, I'm in. But see, I think he's gonna go somewhere where he may not necessarily start, but like if the starter struggles, then he, like. If Baker comes to KC, his only chance of playing is injury. Now, Miami's a good example. If Tua, who's injury prone, suffers another concussion, he could just plug in and play.
I feel like he's like right on that border in terms of backup quarterbacks where he maybe still thinks he can start. I don't.
I guarantee you, he thinks he can start.
But he could wind up on a team like Washington as one of the 3 middle average ass quarterbacks that are all fighting to play for the average team.
Yeah.
Like I don't know exactly
or like
what his market's going to look like.
I could see like the Colts, like they draft a quarterback, but they also sign Baker, and if the draft guy isn't ready, Baker just starts. Something like that. I could also see him just staying with the Rams. What if Stafford only plays one more year?
Sean McVay has always spoken highly of him.
Yeah, and he played pretty well in limited time with there. So we'll see what happens. Teddy Bridgewater, another good option. There's guys out there. There's guys out there. All right, one more segment to go. A perfect offseason plan for the Chiefs to have a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champs. Welcome into the Super Bowl winning champion Kansas City Chiefs report. I am Harrison Graham, and coming up on today's show, we're on to the offseason, and I've got a 5-step offseason plan for the Chiefs to repeat as Super Bowl champs next year. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump on in here. Plan number 1, or step number 1, trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Could you imagine if Brett Veach pulled the trigger on a Hopkins trade? He's still really good, man. Like he's a number 1 receiver. I know he had the suspension. He's had some minor injury stuff the last couple of years, but he's still really good. I mean, you look at 2020, that he really elevated Kyler Murray that year to playing at a high level in Arizona. He's on the wrong side of 30, so I don't think it would cost you a first-round pick. But you plug him in here, obviously in this scenario, you would let JuJu Smith-Schuster walk in free agency. I think Mecole Hardman leaves anyway, but you could go Hopkins, MVS, Tony, Sky Moore, and then potentially like Justin Watson as your number 5. With Travis Kelce at tight end. That's a pretty fun group if you ask me. So, listen, let JuJu walk. Let him make his money because if I'm him, I'm looking to cash in. Go trade for DeAndre Hopkins, whose cap hit would be less than $20 million if you trade for him. And you could even lower that number if you signed him to an extension. So, I like the idea. I think him leaving Arizona is a very good possibility. And Brett Veach, he's always looking to make moves. 11 draft picks to work with. I could definitely see him being interested. Pick an option. Would you rather trade for Hopkins, type DH, or re-sign JuJu, type JS? Let me know down in the comments below. Obviously, it would depend on how much you have to give up for Hopkins, but if you could get him without giving up a first, I would probably go that route. DH for trading for Hopkins, or JS for signing JuJu Smith-Schuster. Step number 2, tag Orlando Brown again, at least at first. But I think in general that might still be the best route. Orlando Brown kind of did what he did last year. First half of the season, you were like, he doesn't look great in this scheme. Then he played a lot better in the second half, and his PFF grades end up looking pretty good by the end of the year. And, all in all, it was a pretty solid season. Now, the reason I would tag him again is you can have him for less than $20 million against the cap next year. That's not bad for a high-level starting tackle. And if he's looking to reset the market, I still don't know if I would give him reset the market money. I still think there's enough questions there and consistency issues where I don't know if I'm giving him $25 million per year when I can tag him for 19.9. I mean, that's a pretty appealing option if you're Brett Veach. Now, shout out to Orlando Brown. He tweeted out after the Super Bowl, 0 sacks, put it on an effing T-shirt. We had to star it out there as he actually typed it out. But listen, I said it before the Super Bowl. This was a put-up or shut-up game for Orlando Brown against that Eagles front. And he delivered. He delivered at a very high level. He was great in the Super Bowl. He's still flawed at times. I think that, this scheme, still challenges him a bit compared to that power running game that he ran in Baltimore. But he got better and better throughout the year. Same thing he kind of did last year. If he was just a little more consistent, I'd be more comfortable giving him, that 4-year, $100 million type of deal. But I still want to keep him around. That's why I'd probably tag him. And if a long-term deal can't be reached, well, then you got him for $19.9 million, and you can decide what you want to do next off season. Now, speaking of the Super Bowl, where Orlando Brown helped bring a championship to Kansas City, you can get your Super Bowl championship gear with our partners Fanatics. Go to our link below, chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That is chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts, all kinds of gear available for you guys. This is the same hat, by the way, that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were rocking in postgame, and several other players as well. So you want to go check that out. Hoodies are sweet. T-shirts are sick. Chatsports.com/ChiefsSB. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Go pick up your Chiefs Super Bowl championship gear today by clicking our link in the description. Step number 3, restructure Patrick Mahomes' deal. His current cap hit for next year is $49.29 million. Obviously a lot. You can get it down to $31.49 though, which for what he does is super cheap. I mean, even $49.29 for what he does isn't that bad, but obviously you want to lower that hit, give you more flexibility in free agency. Restructure saves almost $18 million. That feels like a no-brainer to me. And I don't believe they restructured last offseason, which kind of gives you more flexibility to do it this year, because if you do it literally every single year, then eventually you're just going to get hit with this huge number. But obviously you worry about later. Restructure now, save the money. $18 million, you can sign multiple starters with that type of money. And for example, say you want to keep JuJu Smith-Schuster and you're strapped for cash, that restructure helps you do that. There's no doubt about it. Their current projected cap space, $11 million. That's actually pretty decent for a team like the Chiefs. There's a bunch of teams with, like the Chargers, they're like negative $25 million. They got to make moves to clear out cap space. Chiefs are in the positive. They're already over. They're at $11 million. Now, if you franchise tag Orlando Brown, that gets you to about negative $9 million. So, restructuring Mahomes makes sense, and I definitely think that will be in the works for the Chiefs this offseason. Now, don't miss out. Nonstop Chiefs news, rumors, trade buzz, free agency, draft coverage all offseason long. 2022 season may be over, but the road to Super Bowl 58 starts today. So subscribe, turn on your notifications. That way you never miss a video here on the Chiefs Report. Step number 4, Chris Jones contract extension. He's got 1 year left on his deal. And after the season he just had, where he was just a menace, I think it's kind of disrespectful that he did not get a single Defensive Player of the Year vote. But that's neither here nor there. 15.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 29 QB hits. He was huge in the AFC Championship game. Not as good in the Super Bowl, but with the turf condition, with the field conditions, that really favored the offensive line. Neither defensive line really was able to get much pressure on the quarterbacks. A Jones extension would lower his cap hit next year as well, which it's over $20 million right now. Now, Aaron Donald got $31 million per year on a new deal. Chris Jones could ask for that, legitimately. He could. Now, do they find some kind of compromise where he settles at like $25, $26 million? I view Chris Jones as a Chiefs player for life. Like, I think he wants to be in KC. I think they want him here. He makes this defense go. So I would sign him to like 4 years, $110 million, $25 to $27 million, and just live with it, because he is that dominant of a defensive presence, and you can lower that cap and kind of push some money down the road if you choose to do so. Now, what would you do? Should Kansas City sign Chris Jones to a contract extension? Type Y for yes, or type in for no. Let next year play out and figure out 2024 and beyond later. I would sign him to an extension, send that message that I want to keep him in Kansas City for the foreseeable future. Step number 5, I would re-sign Jerick McKinnon and cut Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire has 1 year left on his deal. We'll talk about him in a second. The Pacheco-McKinnon duo just works, man. It does. It's not perfect. The AFC Championship game, they struggled to run the football, but they ran the ball really well in the Super Bowl, both of them. They can both catch the ball. I think they're a good 1-2 punch. McKinnon doesn't look like a guy who's, slowing down for his, 29, 30 years old. Remember, he missed a couple years with injury, so he doesn't have a ton of mileage. Like, he could play until he's 32, 33, I think. This pairing works. I would keep it in place next year. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire got activated to the active roster, but was inactive in the Super Bowl. I mean, Ronald Jones was RB3. I just think the Edwards-Helaire experiment's over. I mean, they might keep him on the roster because cutting him only saves $1 million, so it's not that big of a difference. But to me, he's RB3 at best. You might as well cut him, save the $1 million, and go draft a running back in the 6th round that can be RB3. Like I just don't. I don't think that you need Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Probably better for him to start get an opportunity elsewhere anyway. But I think the Pacheco-McKinnon pairing, I like it. Pacheco might be a star in this offense moving forward. I mean, he is a violent runner, and I say that in a positive way. I mean, he is just so fun to watch. So bring McKinnon back as your RB2. He's great in pass protection. He catches the ball well. He can spell Pacheco, and then you're good to go. Get rid of CEH. That has just been a failed first-round pick. It happens. That's life as a GM in the NFL. All right, there you go. My offseason plan for Kansas City to have a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Name one move that you think the Chiefs should make this offseason. Maybe it's something I'm not thinking about. Let me know. It could be a signing. It could be a draft pick. It could be a trade. It could be an internal decision. It could be a coaching thing. Let me know what you would do this offseason for the Chiefs to have a chance to get back to Super Bowl 58. All right, we'll get some shout-outs, and then we will just sign off here on the Chiefs Report. What move would you guys make? Middle-of-the-pack Davenport signing. Yeah, I'd be open with that. I think he could either start or be like a third edge rusher for this team. He could be like your Carlos Dunlap replacement if Dunlap retires or signs elsewhere, although I'd be fine with Dunlap coming back on a one-year deal. What do you guys think? Someone says, I wonder how Tyreek likes Miami. I think he likes Miami. I just think he knows that what Kansas City has is special. They just weren't willing to pay what he had. Trade for Josh Allen. I think you mean the edge rusher, obviously. Cut Clark if he isn't willing to restructure. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Hopefully he will restructure. Robert says, do you believe that I ate 50 wings? I don't know if I do, Robert. I got to be honest. I haven't seen proof. If you did, that's impressive, but I'm just not sure. Just not sure. Find the heir to Travis Kelce. Look, this is a great tight end draft. I would not be opposed to drafting a tight end like the 2nd round. Darnell Washington, Dalton Kincaid if he falls to round 2. I mean, there's some good ones. Michael Mayer, I think he's going to go round 1, but yeah, I think you could go get a tight end. That's definitely a possibility. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in. Busy offseason ahead here on the Chiefs Report, so be sure to subscribe and join the movement here on the channel. Do not miss out on any of our coverage. We'll have videos throughout the week. Free agency around the corner. We also have the NFL Combine in a couple weeks, so we'll do some draft stuff as well. I can't wait. This is a special time to be a Chiefs fan for you guys, so don't take it for granted. Quite a run that this franchise is on, and I'm fascinated to see what moves Brett Veach makes this offseason to put the Chiefs' best foot forward moving forward. All right, I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate producer Sam Brown for clicking the 1s and 2s today, keeping us on track. Shout out to the Kingdom for hanging out. I am signing off here on the Chiefs Report. We will see you tomorrow with another video.